What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about one of the coolest and most polarizing controllers that I have seen to date that came out of CES, because that just seems to be the theme. There's a lot of cool, innovative concept controllers that are coming out that were announced during CES, and they've pretty much just set the internet on fire. But today, we're going to talk about none other than the oh-so-futuristic looking Alienware controller. Now, while several companies have announced really cool controllers at CES 2023, I think some of the coolest ones have been the concept controllers. Essentially, controllers that definitely aren't product ready anytime soon, but yet show a glimpse of what might come in the next year or 2 years. And at the forefront of those announcements was actually Alienware. Well, Dell, sort of. Both, really. As Dell has Alienware as sort of their gaming division for all of their PC gaming desktops, laptops, peripherals, monitors, etc. And Alienware is known for having some futuristic designs when it comes to some of their desktops. Their laptops are wild looking. So it was kind of perfect that they used the Alienware moniker to announce their new Dell Nyx Concept controller. Now, this is sort of a weird one because it's not really like a console controller or even a dedicated PC controller. It was specifically designed for the Dell Nyx, which is kind of like a reimagined entertainment center, or much like just a small server for your house. This serves the purpose of streaming videos, watching television, and playing games. Now, the Dell Nyx concept was actually announced last year, and it was really only shown as just being kind of like that new couch server. So you could kind of have that entertainment center or that all-in-one PC right at your fingertips on your big TV in your entertainment room. But this year they decided to kind of introduce it to gaming and showcase what they might be able to do with couch gaming, where you have the Dell Nyx system set up and you and a friend or a family member or whatever can game split screen on the TV or have each playing your own game on your own side of the TV. But I don't really care about that. All I really cared about was the announcement of this really cool looking concept controller that unfortunately has just only been named the Dell Nyx controller. But it features Alienware logos and branding all over the thing, as well as a ton of gamer RGB. And forget the Nyx system, I want this controller in production now, because this controller basically looks like they took some of the best components of controllers and some of the worst components of controllers and somehow managed to put them together in a way that almost seems as though it'd be perfect. Now, starting off with looks, this thing is kind of weird. It looks like an Xbox controller, but yet the analogs are laid out like a PlayStation controller. And this thing has more RGB than a Razer keyboard. But I gotta say, the ring down on the bottom, as well as the face button RGB being able to flicker like that, actually looks pretty sweet. But I think the biggest elephant in the room is whatever the hell's going on with that D-pad, because they announced that it's a multi-directional touchpad, as they wanted to bring the user closer to that mouse and keyboard experience on a controller. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, Cole, that looks eerily similar to that nightmare fuel of a design that Steam made when they did their controller, you're kind of right, because that's what I first thought when I heard touchpad on a controller, and then you actually see what it looks like. It does seem to be very reminiscent of that style that Steam tried to introduce on their Steam controller for that purest mouse and keyboard feel in your hands that they oh so blatantly botched and failed. But RIP Steam controller, we've got the Steam Deck now. Who really cares? But I have to be honest, this D-pad looks like it might have some potential. And I know a lot of people are freaking out. They're like, oh, if I want to go up, I want to go up. If I want to hit down, I want to go down. Like, there's no actual buttons to press. How do I know I'm actually engaging it? Well, Timmy, that's not really the point, okay? This is so that you can kind of get that trackpad experience on a controller. And nowadays, in most games that you play, besides like your fight games, everything can pretty much be handled from the joysticks. But in addition to that futuristic D-pad, this controller packs some other features that nobody's ever seen on a controller before. For example, on the underside of the controller, you actually get dual scroll wheels. So much like a mouse, you'll be able to scroll each one independently, and they'll kind of serve as a function of movement, or again, just navigating if you're trying to get through a menu or an inventory system or whatever you're doing. And they're kind of laid out in a cool spot because you'd be able to just roll your thumbs off of the joysticks and be able to hit these independently. Now, another quirky feature of this is that the actual shoulder buttons of this controller have intuitive touch controls on them. So you can kind of swipe your fingers back and forth, again, similar to that touchpad type mechanic, and actually use that for navigation. So you'll be able to press each bumper, but then you'll also be able to like scroll or drag your finger on each one as well. Again, for different navigation aspects, different binds, whatever you want to do. Now, another crazy thing that was showcased was that the Alienware logo on the front actually has a dual purpose of being a fingerprint scanner. Now, with this fingerprint scanner, it obviously will handle things like security, privacy, customization, anything like that. But what's really cool is that they spoke about in a software, you might be able to use this for things like quick resume or bind it to a specific game so that you can set up different profiles for everybody's fingerprint. So that way, if you wanted to hop on the couch and just play some Warzone with the boys, throw your fingerprint on there, opens everything up. It's got all your dedicated profiles for all the buttons and all the controls. And then when your little brother Timmy wants to come in, play Fortnite with his pals, throws that nacho dusted finger right on top of that Alienware head, and boom, all his profiles are loaded as well. But in addition to all of this cool futuristic tech that we haven't really seen on a controller before, there are quite a few creature comforts that do look pretty promising. For example, starting with the triggers, it features adaptive triggers, much like you would expect in the DualSense controller on the PS5, which is a huge feature that a lot of people enjoy. So you'll get that nice haptic feedback in the actual triggers, which is something that is lacking on a lot of other Pro controllers at the moment. Now, the other cool thing, just like every other Pro vanilla controller on the market, is that you do get two back buttons, or as they call them, shift buttons, which you can again just bind to whatever you want to through the software. But rounding out features, they did mention that with these internal motors in the joysticks, you'd actually be able to adjust the tension of each joystick. Now, I don't know what they're talking about with internal motors, because I don't know if this operates off of a potentiometer or if it's going to be like a Hall effect or some new thing that they've made. Maybe it's just snake oil. I don't really know. But adjustable thumbstick tension isn't really anything new. I mean, the Series Elite 2 controller has that, but it is mechanical and you have the little key in the joysticks that you can use to tighten or loosen the tension on them. But overall, this controller looks pretty cool, and obviously it's still a concept controller, so it's not like it's coming out in the fall of this year. But regardless, it's a very cool concept. I like the scroll wheels, I like the touch controls, and I like where this controller is going. But I have to say, they should honestly just nix the Nyx. Maybe table that Nyx server option and just really focus on this Alienware controller. Because even if it was marketed only for Alienware PCs and just PC gaming in general, they would sell a ton of these things if they were done right and they had great controls and they were reliable. If I was over there on the team at Alienware and Dell, I would be hardcore pushing a line of entry model and pro level controllers for PC gamers, because they're on the right track and they would make a ton of money if they did it right. Or they could crash and burn like the Steam controller and then just move on from there. But hey, what's life without a good toss-up? But that's going to do it for today's video. I've really enjoyed all of the cool controllers coming out of CES. But let me know down in the comments what your favorite announcement from CES has been, as there have been a ton. If you like this video, make sure and drop me one of these. I'd really appreciate it. And if you did like the video and the other content that I'm putting out lately, make sure and hit that subscribe button. And if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, I mean, like, I keep asking my writers if I'm supposed to like keep doing this bit. Like, can we pencil this one out? What are you doing? Thanks for tuning in, guys. And as always, stay happy, stay healthy. Peace.